My name is Shaela Niles. I'm 25 years old. I'm the kind of speaker that speaks at a slow pace and deliberately. In November of 2011, I found something on Wikipedia that changed my life. It was the words, Selective Mutism. It is defined as an extreme anxiety disorder. It validated something I have been struggling with for years, more precise. Learning that I had this disorder motivated me to try to overcome it. Like me and others who didn't know about this disorder, it also motivated me to spread awareness. Selective mutism had a huge impact on my life. I suffered with this condition from childhood to adolescence and into adulthood. Unlike most babies, I was a quiet one. I didn't make babbling noises, and I didn't cry for hunger. My parents enrolled me in physical, occupational, and speech therapy, but nothing seemed to make a difference. I taught myself how to crawl. I had my favorite toy and blanket across the room. And it wasn't too much later that I learned to walk at a very slow pace. At age 2, I still wasn't talking. If I wanted something, I would grunt and point. I didn't say a single word until I was about 3 or 4 years old. I also had a separation anxiety that left me clinging on to my mom. She even spoke for me. By the time I was 5, I was a chatterbox. I asked a lot of questions and wouldn't stop to listen to the answers. It was like I was starving for social interaction, because outside of home, such as school, I remained mute. My throat closed up and my lips were sealed shut. A teacher would ask me a question, and I stared up at her, blinking with watery eyes. There was this silent awkwardness between us. There was a lot of pressure on me. I would look down at my desk until she told me she would come back to me later and moved on to the next kid. Only then did I feel like I could suddenly breathe. I never understood why I couldn't talk and others could. My parents and teacher didn't know the reason why either. The teacher assumed I might be autistic. My doctor evaluated me for autism, but he didn't think I was autistic. I went to play therapy, but there was the expectation that it didn't go so well. They thought I was choosing not to speak or listen or pretending to act helpless. I was labeled as shy. My anxiety put me behind in my education. From kindergarten all the way to 12th grade, I had an individual educational plan, and in it, I was marked down as having a learning disability. I always thought If it wasn't for the anxiety, I would have done well in school. I knew that I was very smart. However, I had to go to special education to catch up with my peers. It hurt me more than it helped me because it affected how I felt or see myself. It lowered my self-esteem. After I heard from others how shy I was, I began to believe that shyness was part of my personality and I couldn't change it. The anxiety developed into other problems, such as a health anxiety and perfectionism. I wouldn't raise my hand for fear of being wrong. As I got older, I also suffered from agoraphobia, OCD, and clinical depression. I figured what I had was beyond shyness. I wondered what I had been struggling with. And I waited for somebody to help me, but nobody bothered. So my anxiety and depression got worse, isolating myself from everyone else. I began to have panic attacks, and even worse, thoughts of death. A year ago, I recovered from my darkest days. I made a commitment to myself that I would not give up. Selective mutism wasn't a curse, but a gift. I joined TOASTmasters. It showed me the light and hope for the future. I stumbled a couple of times, but I refused to let it pull me back into the dark. TOASTmasters built my strength and confidence. I became a counselor at the Youth Playhouse Theater. I enrolled in college. Since the first day of school, I've raised my hand nearly every day. Right now, I am most proud of having this opportunity, standing here before you, giving a TEDx talk. There are new challenges to face, like becoming a librarian and a best-selling author. And I will cross those paths as they come. What I am learning is that life goes at its own pace, at its own time, and in its own way. My life started out very slow, very unsure, very silent. What I didn't realize is that for me, my life was meant to happen in small increments, unhurried and unrushed. And in a world that's impatient to move and go, it's easy to get overlooked because there's a lot of tedium in growing at a measured, steady pace. A flower doesn't flourish overnight. It doesn't go from bud to blossom in one gigantic burst. It takes patience, time, and a whole lot of precious tedium. The real magic is in the waiting to unfurl, unfold, and fully bloom into something magnificently and beautifully wondrous. Thank you.